From explosive new accusations against Donald Trump's pick to lead the FBI, to the push to dismiss a rather open and shut bribery case against New York City Mayor Eric Adams, to comments Donald Trump just made in the Oval Office blasting federal judges who have ruled against his administration. The MAGA movement's efforts to obliterate the rule of law in America are coming into fuller view today. We begin with the top Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee suggesting that Kash Patel might have lied under oath to Congress and is secretly plotting a purge of career civil servants at the FBI. In a letter to the Inspector General of the Department of Justice, Senator Dick Durbin says that Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove told attendees of a January 29th meeting between top FBI brass and leadership at the Justice Department this, quote, he received multiple calls from Stephen Miller the night before. Mr. Miller was pressuring him because Mr. Patel wanted the FBI to remove targeted employees faster, as DOJ had already done with prosecutors. Now, according to Senator Durbin, notes from that meeting read, quote, KP, Kash Patel, wants movement at FBI, reciprocal actions for DOJ. Durbin adding this, quote, it is unacceptable for a nominee with no current role in government, much less at the FBI, to personally direct unjustified and potentially illegal adverse employment actions against senior career FBI leadership and other dedicated nonpartisan law enforcement officers. If these allegations are true, Patel may have perjured himself before the Senate Judiciary Committee. For reference, here is what Kash Patel said about this at his confirmation hearing.
Are you aware of any plans or discussions to punish in any way, including termination, FBI agents or personnel associated with Trump investigations? Yes or no?
I'm not aware of that,
Thank you.
Senator.
There is no evidence of wrongdoing by FBI employees involved in these investigations. If you do pursue investigations of those involved, will you commit to using standard processes, including a standard review by the FBI Inspections Division and the Inspector General?
Senator, I will honor all those review processes.
You will honor those review processes?
Yes, Senator.
If these are actions that the FBI employees, if there are actions against FBI employees that do not follow those standards process that happen before you get in, will you commit to reversing any decision prior to your arrival so that those standard processes and the standard review by the FBI Inspections Division will take place?
I don't know what's going on right now over there, but I'm committed to you, Senator, and your colleagues that I will honor the internal review process of the FBI.
I don't know anything. I don't know what they're doing over there. Wasn't really even believable at the moment, was it? We should note that NBC News has not independently verified the allegations being made by Senator Durbin, but he will join us later in the program to discuss his findings and his allegations. A spokesperson for Kash Patel dismissed the claims as, quote, anonymous sources and, quote, secondhand gossip, adding, quote, the Senate should confirm him without delay. We'll add an exclamation point for them. The Senate Judiciary Committee is expected to vote on Kash Patel's nomination Thursday, less than 2 days from right now, meaning that the allegations come at a possibly critical time for the FBI and, more broadly, the justice system in this country. Trump allies are working to remake the Justice Department and the FBI with a particular focus on those who investigated the January 6th insurrection and defendants with one priority in mind: some categories of people defined by their proximity to and affinity for Donald Trump cannot be touched or imprisoned or prosecuted. And if the justice system doesn't hold them accountable, why should you care? What does that mean for you? That's a question Democrats need to answer, and quickly. Allegations that Trump's pick to run the FBI is leading a purge of the agency he seeks to lead, and the questions it raises about the rule of law in America is where we start today. New York Times Justice Department reporter Glenn Thrush is here. Joining me at the table, MSNBC legal analyst, former SDNY Criminal Division Deputy Chief, Christy Greenberg's back, plus former Assistant U.S. Attorney and former New York City mayoral candidate Maya Wiley's here. Glenn Thrush, start for me with the why. I think that for our audience, it's norm busting on top of potential illegal action, on top of norm busting and turning DOJ and the FBI into a tool for Trump's political police. and it can start to feel like a blur. But this is significant. It feels like in the same way Mike Flynn lied about his call with Kislyak was. If Kash Patel is going to take over the FBI and the Republicans are all going to confirm him unanimously, he can do whatever he wants once he gets there. Why would he lie in his confirmation hearing?
Well, we also have not verified independently what was in the Durbin claim, but we've reported around the edges, and I can tell you there are a couple of things in that certainly comport with what we have reported. First and foremost is that Stephen Miller is in the middle of all of this. Miller has been, as we reported, I think over the weekend in an Emil Bove profile that I wrote with a couple of colleagues, Miller, was in the middle of a lot of these orders, particularly on Homeland Security, that are coming out of the Justice Department. I spoke with a Justice Department employee a couple of days ago who said that Miller is on the phone with people over at the department multiple times per day. Whether or not that involved an interaction with Patel, the Inspector General will find out, or we'll be able to develop some reporting on that. But in any event, it's just very, very clear that what is going on at the FBI and the Justice Department has the endorsement and the enthusiastic support of the President of the United States and the most powerful people around him. It emanates from Trump. The people in these jobs are executing the will of the man in charge, period, full stop. And Emil Bove is a name people really ought to start paying attention to. This has been the prime mover behind almost everything that has happened, including the FBI stuff, the threats to local officials for, with criminal investigations for obstructing immigration enforcement, down to the firing of 20 prosecutors in the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. who worked on the Capitol riot cases. And one last thing, it just seems that we have moved from what we might have expected during the transition, that Trump and company would go after Jack Smith and the individuals involved in his 2 prosecutions. While some of what he does is being litigated in court and may not have been legal in terms of personnel moves, I think it was widely expected that people who were involved in those investigations were going to see some impact. I think the thing that has really been most stunning is that he has extended all of these actions to encompass the January 6th defendants and also ancillary political figures who were investigated sufficiently to warrant an indictment. So Trump is moving ahead, not just on cases that involved him directly, but this whole universe of criminality and alleged criminality of people who were allied to him or charged with things similar to what he was charged with.
Glenn Thrush, really important question about all of that, really important reporting. Is it Bove or Bove? I've heard both in the last hour.
I have heard, here's what I'll tell you, Emil.
Okay.
Emil.
Okay.
Emil.
Not Emil. It's Emil. Okay. Let me ask you 2 questions. I mean, here's what the Democrats, I think, so far have failed to articulate, and the Republicans, I should say, should, but they clearly don't care. They're in on this, enthusiastic about it, and I think they've made that clear with how they've acted as all these characters and all these EOs have come across the transom, and they've had nary a concern or a whimper or a whine. What I want to understand is, are they offering any reassurances that a woman-owned business or minority-owned business or a business with an LGBTQ plus flag outside would be protected if it were burned to the ground? I mean, what is interesting is that they are destroying the FBI as it's existed for a generation. And other than your reporting and Senator Durbin and a handful of others, it's a rather muted response.
It is remarkable that this isn't getting as much attention. I think what is going on now is really remarkable. I don't want to use the term unprecedented. I've banned that from my life, but we are seeing movement here that we haven't. And the J. Edgar Hoover period, 48 years at the FBI, was no walk in the park. There were tremendous abuses, and the Republicans have made accusations as did Hillary Clinton, about the way that the FBI handled those investigations. Totally legitimate. But it is really beyond comprehension. It was not part of the political campaign or anything Trump said during the political campaign that would indicate that you're going to send out a questionnaire to 5,000 or 6,000 agents, asking them essentially whether or not they worked on J6 cases. These were righteous cases in terms of the jury results. I mean, people were convicted. Even the obstruction charge, which was nullified by the Supreme Court, represented a relative minority of the charges that these Capitol rioters were accused of before they were pardoned by the president. We are really going into territory, Nicole, that we have never been in before.